My next guest is an Atlanta-based actor, singer, and director whose talents have been shared throughout the United States and abroad. In 25 seconds, Sean Dale joins me on an all-new RXG Exclusives. We must open up our minds and take a look inside. I bet we find we hold all the answers tonight.
You're watching RXG Exclusives.
Oh, they tried to keep us away, yeah. Sean, it's a pleasure to finally have you on the program. We've been trying to make this happen for a while, and I've got to admit something here, some transparency. I just didn't put two and two together until preparing for this interview. You and I first connected 7 years ago through your cousin and my uncle/brother from another mother, Vic Brooks.
Yes.
It was virtual, so we have yet to meet face to face, but it'll happen, sir. Anyway, we connected and life just interfered and we fell out of touch. Then not long ago, we began following each other on social media and I watched you soar as a performer. And I'd see likes and posts by our mutual family and I'd keep thinking to myself, why do I know that name? Why do I know that face? What's this so-called 6th degree of separation? And this is why it's so important for artists, people in general really, and especially people of color, to keep in touch. I frequently reach out to artists of all backgrounds. Sometimes I get a response, most times I don't. But we're all in this together, just striving to do what we love. In our initial correspondence, we shared our artistry, commiserated a little, and to see where you are now, Sean, just fills me with joy. My only regret is that in all this time, we haven't collaborated. So we need to do something about that.
We need to go work on that. We're definitely going to work on that.
You are a supremely talented individual, so you obviously come from great stock. So
thank you.
Kudos to you on that.
And you as well, you know. I mean, like, you know, the fact that we connected through mutual family members, it's like, you know, that's, you know, it's a telltale sign of your excellence as well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Now, you hold a BA in acting from Union College. You have an MFA in acting from East 15 School in London, but you're a resident of Georgia. So take me to the beginning, that moment when you realized performing was what you were meant to do, and how did you nurture that skill?
So I knew that I was supposed to perform, Robert, from a young age. So I was that kid who had all this energy, and my parents were like, what are we gonna do with all this energy? Let's just put him in, some acting, classes, a little drama school, just to, let him get his energy out, and from that led to, my first professional play in 4th grade, which was at the Aurora Fox Arts Center, because I was born and raised in Denver, Colorado. And so, there's a professional theater out there called the Aurora Fox, and they were doing a children's show, professional children's show called Winnie the Pooh. And I was one of the extra characters who had a couple lines here and there. And the craziest thing happened that, like, I was just being me and all these people were laughing. And I was like, man, this is great. And that just planted the seed for me to want to nurture this craft even more. So, all through the years, middle school, high school, I mean, the only thing that was on my mind really was drama and passing school, and that was really it. So fast forward to the college years, or I should say the semi-pre-college years, it was like people were starting to say, okay, what are you going to do about college? What are you going to do in terms of, for your career, this, that, and the other? And you should probably get a job that will support you, and it will support a wife and family, this, that, and the other, that story. And long story short, I kind of fell for it. I was like, well, fine, like I'll major in, public relations, and I'll also do, drama as well, so that I can get both fixes in, and kind of marry the two so that maybe I can go into like radio, and I did a lot of radio production, or maybe like broadcasting or something that would at least fulfill my passion for theater and performing, right? And fast forward again, I graduate with this degree in public relations with specifically another degree, a minor in drama. So not a full-on major in drama, in theater, but like I basically walked right into the 2000, and 7, 8, and 9 recession, where I wasn't doing anything. So like everyone was asking, where's this job? No work for anybody. And acting was just kind of a thing of the side. I had my girlfriend, who was not my wife, who was becoming a nurse. And so there was just a whole bunch surrounding that. So we're going through our marriage now. We get married in 2013. And I had gotten this call late 2013 from the Oshkosh Pathfinder Camporee directors, Betty Whitehead and Ron Whitehead, asking me if I wanted to direct the Oshkosh Camporee's evening performances. And I said, how did you get my number? I'm like, how did you even find this information? And they told me that my college professor had given them my information and said, like, check this guy out as somebody who would be valuable to your creative team. And so that led me through a journey of reintroduction back into performing and back into the theater, and back to being on stage, that literally transformed everything about my life that came before.
If there's rain again and we get pushed off the stage, people aren't going to see Act 5. They're not going to see the finale, and it's going to be inconclusive.
We've been asked to keep everyone off the stage starting right now.
Up until that point in time, I had gotten that safe job. I was a recruiter, working for Florida Hospital University, which is now Advent Health University, recruiting nurses and sonographers and radiographers for their, Denver campus. I mean, I was just doing the daily grind, 9 to 5. And until that moment when I got that call, that was basically what I thought my life was going to be. I was like, well, I'll just maybe do drama on the side, or, or maybe I'll join a improv class here or there, or something that will fulfill that little need. But after Oshkosh, it's like God just opened up some crazy doors, in terms of what that opportunity provided. Like it instilled that fire in me that I had learned as a kid, and that was nurtured in me all through, high school, middle school and high school and college. And like, it allowed me to connect with specifically some people at Red Rocks Community College, who brought me in as an adjunct professor, to teach a drama class here and there, and then direct some shows, and then perform in some shows. And so it was just this whirlwind from 2014 on of working basically 2 jobs, working as an adjunct and as a recruiter. And then finally, as I was talking to one of my mentors at Red Rocks Community College, she was like, you really should pursue your master's. Like, if you really want to go into teaching and like performing, you should pursue your master's in drama. And here is a way to do it. And we sat down for a couple hours and really just hashed out a game plan for how to find a master's program in theater. And that led me to 2017, when I auditioned for at this place called the Earnest, which is kind of like this big cattle call of actors who go to audition for all of these grad schools all in one place. You go to Chicago, you can go to New York, or I think like San Francisco. And me and Luciana, my wife, decided to go to San Francisco, or excuse me, not San Francisco, Chicago, and do this audition. And so I go into this room with all these people, all representing these, theater colleges that I could potentially go to, and hoping that someone's going to see me and call me back later on in the day to talk to me one-on-one. And, and a couple schools did. And East 15 was one of the schools that was on my list because it's in London. I had lived in Italy prior to that for 2 years. And so I knew the European life. I loved the European life. And so the thought of going back to Europe was very enticing. And then not only that, like it allowed me to grow um, in my Shakespeare knowledge, because at that time I had done one Shakespeare play, literally one. And I really wanted to nurture that as well. So um, after that audition, they called me back and I talked to them and, did some more monologues for them and kind of gave them my whole story. And they, a couple months later, sent me an acceptance letter, and me and my wife just hustled our butts to sell all of our stuff, and find a place to live and just prepare ourselves for this new adventure that we were going to take, living in London, England, for 2 years. And so, we get there, and again, it's just, for anybody out there listening who's been to drama school, y'all know it's both the most rewarding experience and it's a weird experience as well, because sometimes if you're in movement class, you're rolling around on the floor, in a character, developing a character, doing animal studies. It's just, if somebody were looking through a window, they're like, what is this? This is drama school? But that's not all that it is, it's so much more than that. But
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
exactly. So so basically from 2017 on, it was just nose to the grind, really threw myself back into acting and performing in a way that was relentless. I was just, I felt like I had been given a second chance, right? To do the thing that I loved to do and to actually fulfill the scholastic opportunity to pursue this thing at the highest level, because it's a terminal degree that I have. And so I made the absolute best of it. And it changed my life. I came back we came back to the States because my wife is a nurse, right? And so we wanted to stay in England. That's another story. But, we came back here to so that she can, pick up her nursing career. And we set out a plan. We said, okay, let's mark out 5 or 6 cities that we could see ourselves living in, right? For the foreseeable future, that has both opportunities in acting and for hospitals, for nurses. So we plotted out Los Angeles, we plotted out, we thought about New York, we thought about Chicago, but after coming from London, we already kind of knew what New York was going to be like. And we'd bought a car by that point. So we were like, well, there's no way you can live in New York with a car. You just don't want to do it. So we had, New Orleans, Atlanta, and basically we just started plotting out all these different cities, and she started doing travel nursing. So right at the end, because I graduated in 2019, like fall of 2019, came back home. And we all know what happened just a few months later. I'm coming back from drama, from grad school, and thinking that, okay, I'm going to hit the ground running with this acting thing. And it was great. I got a couple of short films under my belt. And then, boom, pandemic.
Now, while you have experience on the screen, a great deal of your work is on the stage. You're a Shakespearean-trained actor. Among your many credits are the classics like The Importance of Being Earnest, Porgy and Bess, Lobby Hero, The Merchant of Venice. From your perspective, how does one navigate between the stage and the screen, and do you have a preference?
Theater and screen, they're two very different mediums, right? Like, I'm a little bit more biased with like theater and classically trained actors that go into film, because I just feel like there's a groundedness that you get as a classically and theater trained actor that you don't really get when you just jump right on into film. Like, but then there's also a level of blocking out the noise, that you also don't get from like when you're on film, that you don't get on, like being on stage, like when things are that close in your face. It's hard to stay in the moment and it's hard to feed off of that audience reaction. So they both have in both of their respects, they both have things about them that you need to actually train for, right? Or like gain experience in. And so the transition it's become easier. There's a thing that I like to do that a teacher taught me, which is interesting, because I'm kind of a nervous kind of energy about me. I'm very, just boppy in general. But my teacher came up to me one time and she just put her hand on my chest and she was like, just breathe and ground yourself and calm down. And from time to time, and whenever I go on to like film sets, or like if I'm, in that kind of environment, then I'll, put my hand on my chest and just ground myself, or I'll do some breathing exercises that I was trained to do, so that when I am transitioned from stage to film, I'm able to not make my performance so big and bombastic as I would have to do on stage. I can use the same techniques that I've learned, in building the moment to moment, but ground them in a more, naturalistic, yeah, like more of a naturalistic kind of way than a theatrical way. Exactly. So yeah, that's what I would say about transitioning from there. And then vice versa, when transitioning from film to theater, it's like you really have to amp up the energy, big time, because it requires your whole physical being. It requires, like theater is, people don't know, like people who aren't involved in theater, like they really, it creeps up on you how physical you have to be. Like you have to understand how your instrument works. You have to understand how your body mechanics work, what your limitations are, or what your potential could be, and how to stretch all of those elements on a performance to performance basis. And I have tons of stories about how from one performance to the next in the same show, limitations were stretched and and minimized depending on if I'd hurt myself or something, or if my voice wasn't on if I wasn't on voice, as they say.
I always say theater trained actors can arguably transition to film far easier because of the discipline that it takes.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. It's because there are techniques and stuff that you learn, through that process of going through the theater, like just basic acting principles that you learn, that you can take from one place to the other. You could take from one medium to another, even if it's not like on film. You could take the same, techniques that you learn from the stage or just in acting, to voiceover, which is a great deal of what I did over the past, throughout the pandemic. And although that's a different medium in and of itself, I was still able to use the same acting choices and understanding of basic acting practice and building moments, even in that medium as well. So theater acting has really trained me to expand the broader performing boundaries in that sense.
Now, you mentioned briefly entertaining the idea of living in London. I've never been to the UK. It seems like a beautiful place. I've always said I'd like to live there for at least a period of time and work in their theater and film industry. Can you share what the industry is like there compared to here in the States?
Oh, brother, it is like, it feels like Mecca, but at the same time, I've never, been to New York City, to really, I've been to New York City, but I don't know the culture of the acting scene there. But I will tell you that from what I've heard from New York, like in comparison to London, London is just a performer's safe haven. Like there's tons of stuff to always do. The competition is different. It's more collaborative there. Artists and performers are more uplifted. Like there's just a bigger sense of camaraderie, and acceptance of the arts. Like I had no problem walking around, telling people, oh yeah, like I'm an actor, I'm studying at East 15. They're like, oh, East 15, yes. Like, we love East 15ers, we've heard of East 15, like I have a friend or whatever, or like, it's the support. And these are people who are just like at a random pub, or just, people who are at the mall or something, like people who are not involved in the theatrical or performing world at all. The UK has so much to offer performers, from all different spectrums, from film to TV to voiceover. I mean, voiceover there is a booming business with the BBC. It's a booming business, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. I mean, it's great. And yeah, and then to theater as well. I mean, it's just, you have the West End, that's basically like Broadway. I mean, it's a beautiful place to hone your craft, because then you're also really close to Scotland, which has the Edinburgh Fringe Festival every summer, and that is wild, because you have people that come from all over the world putting up small performances in little performance spaces no bigger than like your bedroom, and you can pack 20, 30 people in there with a little, black box, and just give the performance of a lifetime, or see something that's like maybe not as inspiring. It's just, you see it all, you experience it all, and everyone is there in support of you. It's a beautiful place to perform, a beautiful place to live.
And your wife, as you said, is not in the industry. We artists are far from easy to deal with. How important is it for artists, especially men, to have a supportive partner?
Oh, it's invaluable. It's invaluable. And the support comes in many different forms, right? Like, and it's not just financial, it's verbal. Honestly, for me, like if my wife never did another thing for me, the fact that she has just said, like, has never, ever, 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 ever in our 9 years of marriage and our 13 years of being together, has ever said, don't do this. She's always been like, well, yeah, like, go for this, let's make a game plan. She's very much a game planner. Like, she loves to have a plan, and I do too, but I've learned so much from her in that respect. And her, and like, she has taught me how to be a better actor, just because she's a more observant and supportive person. I mean, it's just, I don't know, I got very lucky. That's the only way that I can say it. I got very lucky and fortunate to have her as my wife, because I would not feel confident going into this industry, as where sometimes you don't know what's coming next, or you don't know how things are going to shape up. Without her support, I wouldn't know how to navigate it, or to stay sane in it, or honestly to have the endurance to continue. But I mean, like, the endurance thing for me is a little bit different, because like I was saying earlier, you don't always get a second chance to do what you love to do. And so a lot of that comes from there. But her in my corner all the time is like the fuel to this fire.
That's beautiful, man. Your wife is a blessing. Those outside of our industry see the photos, the red carpet, the curtain calls, the reviews, the awards, and draw various conclusions. However, the journey to reaching our dreams is often surrounded by internal and external obstacles, rife with rejection. So, when the industry says no to Sean Dale, what is your response? How do you manage to stay the course? Aside from your wife, how do you keep going?
Man, it involves a lot of I do a lot of reading, and I'd like to see, like, I like reading articles specifically about acting, about how to become a better actor, or like how, or like meditative or motivational things, to be honest, like, because we need motivation. Like we need positive words to say, hey, look, like nobody ever got anywhere by, not doing what they, by not pushing for their goals, whatever that goal may be. But I really have been inspired to just meditate more on things that are positive. And yeah, like when I get rejected, I don't even think of it as rejection anymore. I actually really love what a lot of the actors nowadays, I love their mentality towards the pursuit of acting, right? It's like the audition is not the chance to show what you can do as much as it is the job itself. It's like you get up, you go out there and you do your job. Like whether you get, called back or cast or not, the job is going out there, hustling, putting your face out there to all the different people and really showing up. Just showing up is 90% of what you have to do. And so when I'm rejected, or like if I don't get something that I really want or whatever, like it's become less of a disheartening thing, because I don't focus on getting the part. I just focus on, chugging in that train, keeping that train chugging along with finding auditions, submitting for certain things. And I won't even lie to you, Robert. I won't even lie to you. Sometimes that is a daily choice. Like, it can be exhausting to sit down, submit, and then like wait for an audition to come back your way, or wait for somebody to like, give you a call back or whatnot. But by not doing that, I will not get I won't get as far as I will get,
Can you leave your audition on the floor, or is it a case-by-case basis?
It's a case-by-case basis. Generally, I can leave it on the floor. Generally, I can. And, we all get caught up in that, man, I really want it. But, and I don't want to sound flippant and say like, you can't really want it, because that's a lie. I feel like that's a lie. Like most of the time, if there's a project that you want and you want it, like it's going to hurt when it doesn't come your way, if it doesn't come your way, you know what I mean? But I will say it is easier to go in there not thinking like that I gotta get it. My only goal when I go into that room is as I learned to be better in the room, is to really just be in the moment, like be flexible. As one of my teachers said, he's like, let's jazz, because jazz is spontaneous. It's, it goes anywhere. It can take any direction, and any instrument, anybody can just jump in and do something. You have to be able to roll with it. And so like I try to just think about going into an audition room like that, not set in a way of how a character should be, but have my choices ready to go, but be ready to just jazz with folks and, throw something else out there if they want me to go a different way with it or whatever, and just not give people my power in the room. And what I mean by that is, we as performers can get caught up giving other people our power, in the sense that they're like, oh man, they control the outcome of our lives. They are the ones who are the ones who are going to be able to make this work come to fruition for me or whatever. Nah, like you're giving them their power by saying they have the power to direct my career. I have the power to direct my career, and it's up to me.
How do you protect your mental, physical, and spiritual health?
Just finding a place of peace to just sit and be has been super valuable with everything that has been thrown my way. And it's just allowed me to think more clearly, think on myself, think on my direction in life and how I'm impacting other people, I don't know how it is for you, but like, I know for myself that I found that I really tend to accidentally shut people out whenever I get into that space. Like if I'm either in go mode or if I'm in, you know, like trying to figure out my whole life kind of thing, I just kind of go ghost. And I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to be more present. And so um it's just finding the time to really just sit and be for as many moments as I can spare is probably the most helpful.
Well, Sean Dale, thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate being on this show. Thank you very much. It's good to chat with you.
And thank you for watching RXG Exclusives. Can you share about some of your upcoming projects?
I mean, if you live in the southwest region of Florida, you'll be seeing your boy on a commercial down there for Northwest Exterminating. Also, beginning of next month, I'll be heading back to Kilgore, Texas to do the Texas Shakespeare Festival's Roadshow, which is where for 7 weeks they do two Shakespeare plays, and put them up and tour them all throughout Texas, all different areas of Texas where we could spend that time going to a lot of different places. Like one of the places in particular is like I want to say a juvenile center, and then or different places like that. It's more like an outreach kind of thing. So we'll be doing that, and then come back just in time for the holidays to chill, because it's been a very busy year.
Make sure to like, comment, and hit subscribe on our YouTube channel so you never miss out. RXG Exclusives, hosted by Robert X. Golphin, now playing.